Hello and welcome to Mark in the Park, where we talk Urbana Park District with the people who make the decisions about your parks. Remember, at Urbana Park District, you belong here. I'm Mark Schultz, glad you're with us today, and we're talking with Kara Dudek, Planning Assistant for Urbana Park District today. How are you, Kara?
I'm good. How are you, Mark?
Doing great, and today we're talking about strategic planning. Now, first of all, when some people say strategic planning, the eyes immediately glaze over, but we're planning on a pretty dynamic strategic plan.
Definitely, yeah. It's something that people don't know a lot about, and it definitely does not sound exciting at first. But we're trying to make it exciting, and really the point of strategic planning is to guide Urbana Park District moving forward. So we have a lot of, people wanting different things. We have a lot of goals. So we're hearing from residents, our board of directors, staff, and so on. And this is a roadmap moving forward, how we're going to best use resources and get projects accomplished and do what the community wants us to do.
So it's a roadmap for a set period of time, correct?
Yep, it's short term since things change so rapidly in the community, and it's about 3 to 5 years.
So you have this strategic plan. We're making it in 2018, and it'll go into effect in 2019?
Yep, so we're hoping to have it finished by spring and summer of 2019. And then it'll just continue to evolve and be a dynamic document moving forward.
When was the last time that Urbana Park District had a strategic plan?
So about 10 years ago, 2007 was the most recent one, and that was a pretty large plan. It was consultant made and did a survey community-wide. And before that, there were 2 plans in the 90s.
Okay. And I guess that answers my next question. Why strategic plan now? 10 years is kind of a long time without a strategic plan.
It is a long time, and there's a lot of things happening right now. We have some big initiatives and mandates that we're working on, large capital projects, which I'm sure you'll want to talk about later.
Absolutely. And how is this strategic plan different from the one 10 years ago and the 2 others in the 90s?
Right. So planning has evolved a lot over time, and one of the major components of this is going to be the public input session. It used to just be, staff at the park district would brainstorm, and based on what they heard from all over the district, they would make the plan. But now we're really going to include as many people as we can, whether that's stakeholders, our citizen advisory committee, we've already talked to the board, and we're going to use our staff and the residents in different community groups.
It sounds like it's going to be a locally produced strategic plan.
Yep, and it's going to be all done in-house for the most part, with a few consultants helping us to do things such as the community input sessions where they really excel. But yeah, it'll all be done in-house so we can use our institutional knowledge to make the plan the best thing it can be for Urbana itself.
Now there are 4 different aspects of the strategic plan, or 4 pillars that you're calling them. Why don't we touch on those?
Yeah, so why we already have pillars before the process even started is because we have capital projects and initiatives that are already rolling along. So the first one is the Crystal Lake Rehabilitation Access and Management Plan. That is something that's been happening since I started at the district 3 years ago. So that's not going away, but what we can learn from the strategic planning process is what is most important to people from the Crystal Lake plan, what are important recreation components around the lake, and things like that. So that's the first pillar. And then we have the Kickapoo Rail Trail trailhead at Weaver Park, which is in East Urbana. And that's going to be Urbana's first trailhead. You know, the Kickapoo Rail Trail already exists, 6.7 miles of it, but now we want people to have somewhere to go, somewhere to park their cars, somewhere to rest, have a picnic, use the restroom, and just enjoy Weaver Park, and then launch on the active transportation that is the Kickapoo Rail Trail.
Very good. And so these are projects that are already in progress. So I doubt the strategic plan is going to say, whoa, let's stop all these, we don't want to do this project anymore.
Yeah, that's not likely. What it will do is it could change around some priorities or bring new things to the project. Would it be okay if now I talked about a couple of the other sort
Absolutely.
of initiative type things? So those were capital projects, which are already have, some money towards them and planning behind them. But we also have our initiative to reach more underrepresented people in the community. So that's across the board, everyone, and the "You Belong Here" slogan that we live our lives by here at the Urbana Park District. But it's not just reaching out to different races or people of different social groups or, populations and how much money their family makes. It's everyone. So people often think, Park District, t-ball or basketball or athletics, but we're way more than that, and we want to reach people who, want to play cards or bird walk or do anything and just let everybody know that there's something here for them. So that's our underrepresented initiative. And then lastly, we have a health and wellness initiative, which doesn't all park districts involve health and wellness, but it's really finding out through the strategic planning process how we can help Urbana residents and the community as a whole live healthy lifestyles. So is that having somewhere for parents and grandparents and kids to play at the same place so everybody's active? Or is it indoor space, something like a place to walk indoors when it's not so nice outside? So those are the kinds of things that will come of the Health and Wellness Initiative.
And it sounds like those, the Health and Wellness Initiative and the Underrepresented Initiative, that sounds like it's could be a very fluid planning, and sounds like a lot of discussion and input needed from the public to make sure those two aspects of the strategic plan work.
Yes, that's definitely where we need to hear from people the most, because we know what trends are in park and recreation, but we need to know what Urbana itself wants most and how we can facilitate healthy lifestyles and include everyone.
And the big trick, we say you belong here, and that's very important, but we really mean it. And reaching underrepresented is very important to us. So we'll be going in the strategic plan process, we'll be going to where people are. They don't have to come to Phillips Recreation Center, but we're going out to the people to talk about the Park District. Is that correct?
Exactly. So we know a lot of people can't come to a public meeting necessarily, or don't have the time, or they're not able to travel to a public meeting, or they could be working 2 or 3 jobs and it's really just not practical. So what we're going to be doing is taking our input sessions out to different Park District events and community events so that we can go to somewhere people are already visiting. So we have neighborhood nights every Wednesday in the summer at different parks that allows us to, get a wide range of geographical locations for the parks. Farmers market, so not only UPD things, but we'll really be going out to the people and asking them for their input.
And you want the people to participate. You want them to come up and say, this is what I like about the Park District, or this is what I don't like about the Park District. And even if they have what they think might be a pie-in-the-sky idea, you want to hear it.
Because there's things we know and there's things we don't know, and we can't share that with anyone or implement that until we're aware of it. And so we're going to have those input sessions around the community. And then also, if there's people that are willing to share more in-depth stories and ideas, in the fall is when we'll have focus groups and listening sessions. So that'll be more like your general public meeting style, where you would come to a set location and we would have someone facilitate a discussion and really give some meaningful feedback.
So this summer, summer of 2018, is going to be gathering information, going to the people to talk about the Park District to get things into the strategic plan. Now the fall is going to be more of these public meetings. Can you touch a little bit more about what's going to be involved in those?
Sure. So when we're meeting with people in the parks, it'll be sort of a shorter, more casual meeting, and we'll gather really valuable feedback, but it'll be short because they're there for something else. And so these public meetings will be a little bit longer, and they'll be facilitated by an outside consultant. So you don't have to feel like you can't express what you want to the Park District, because it will be someone else facilitating for us. And we're going to use consultants who have exciting means of gathering public input. So, for example, drawing pictures as you talk. So everyone can understand what's being mentioned, and they see that their ideas are actually being listened to. And then later we can share that so that everybody in the community and the staff and our board of directors knows what was shared at that meeting.
So after the informal information gathering this summer and the formal meetings in the fall, what happens after that?
Right, so we will have lots of input, and then we'll also be involving our staff, of course. That'll happen in the summer. And then in the winter will be when we really dive into understanding what people have shared and how we're going to use what they've shared. So the plan sort of analysis will happen in the winter, and then the writing of the plan will occur in the spring and summer of 2019.
So spring and summer of 2019, we'll have the strategic plan written out. Now, can people comment on the strategic plan once it's written out?
Absolutely, because we don't want it to just exist only at the Park District and in our facilities. The way the plan's going to be written is going to be a readable, digestible, able to identify with document. So it's not just going to be 200 or 300 pages of text. It's actually going to include images and pictures and color and things like that. And so we want people to engage with the plan.
So by summer of 2019, we'll have a strategic plan. The park board will vote on it, and we go forward for the next 5 years. Now, I have, in my prior lives, have been around planning, blue ribbon commissions. They put together a nice document, and they say, this is what we're going to do going forward. And then it sits on the shelf and gathers dust. And then people do what they've always done.
Right.
How do we avoid having that happen when we put together a very nice strategic plan and ask the people to input it? Yeah.
So that is going to start out with the document style, which will be something that people are actually interested in reading, we hope, and something that's engaging. And then we're also going to break off into groups, essentially. So create working groups for each initiative or group of themes to continue that forward. So it's not just going to be an overwhelming number of goals or things we want to accomplish. It's going to be broken down smaller and have groups to move it forward.
I guess that's a fine line between having a very general 3 or 4 points in general terms, saying, well, we're going to be better. Well, and then you have a 300-page document enumerating 300 different things of how you're going to be better. One, you don't have any real direction, and number two, you get so overwhelmed you just close the book and assume the fetal position.
Right. Yeah, so it's going to be definitely somewhere in the middle, and we want the goals that we create to actually be something that you know when you've achieved them. So measurable goals, SMART goals. We want to reach this many people and bring them into our programs. We want to go to 4 new community groups in the next 4 years and include them in our processes. So they're going to be measurable in that manner.
Very good. And one of the ways we can make sure that we're staying on our strategic plan is not only have Park District leadership refer to the strategic plan often, but have the public refer to the strategic plan and give us a call and say, hey, what about this idea that's in your strategic plan? When are we going to see that?
I know strategic planning doesn't sound like the most thrilling of topics, so I really do hope people that are able to engage in that manner. And because, we have the smartest people in Urbana who know what they want, and we need to hear from them, and we need to engage with them.
What's the one thing you want people to take away from our little visit today about strategic planning? If they remember only one thing from watching this program, what do you want it to be?
That they need to share their ideas with us, because this plan is absolutely nothing without public input. So whether they want to come to our events, whether they just want to give me a call over at Planning and Operations office, come to a focus group, we need to hear from them.
So they can go on urbanaparks.org to find out more about the strategic plan, as we'll be updating the process. And what's the best way that they can get in touch with you or get in touch with the other strategic planning people?
So like you mentioned on the website, you could go and find my email address. My name's Kara Dudek and I'm Park Planner. Or you could call the Planning and Operations office at 217-344-9583 and just ask for me or any of the planning staff.
It's a busy process, but a fun process, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kara Dudek, thank you for taking time to join us today, and we'll be talking to you more as we go through the different other aspects of the strategic planning process.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you. Kara Dudek, Planning Assistant at Urbana Park District, has been our guest today on Mark in the Park, talking about the strategic plans, talking about the future of Urbana Park District, and making sure that you become a part of it. More information at urbanaparks.org. Strategic planning. You belong here, and you belong at Urbana Park District. I'm Mark Schultz. Thanks for joining us.